So here's a full roundup of all the tools I've used. You got the these are plastic tweezers that I've used as a pry bar, so any plastic pry bar will do. Sorry about the focus. This was my T25. This was my 8mm combination spanner. And I've got an 8mm socket on this Barco tool set here. I find that small size really handy. You're going to need a flat bladed screwdriver as well, just to get the indicator out of the bumper part to remove the clips. Today we are changing the rear light cluster on my Polestar 2. Unfortunately, somebody has done me no favours and gone and smashed mine and buggered off without saying anything. So, c'est la vie. I'm skipping straight to the bit that everybody really needs to know about. I'll do the rest in a mo, but principally what we're really concerned about is how to remove the tail light cluster from the bumper part, which is really difficult when you don't know how. In essence, there are 3 retaining clips, one here, one here, one here. They are very difficult to disengage whilst you are trying to push the light cluster off. But in essence, this slides back and forwards on those clips. So you need to push down the clips whilst pushing the indicator cluster in that direction towards the front of the car. And this is really difficult. I ended up with a combination of shoving my arms in here and pulling them down, or shoving a screwdriver through there and trying to push them from that way. And honestly, I don't know what's best. But the net result is I finally got there. Not without some small damage. This clip has failed on its leading edge. This one's peeling up. This one's okay. And there's a small crack in the bumper here. So it's a job you would undertake with some trepidation. However, so I'm going to put this one back now. I'll just move the camera around. And here you can see there's grooves on the bottom of the indicator which locate with those snap pieces. And they should just, in theory, hopefully clip straight back on again. There, and we're in. And that, I mean, it looks so easy, doesn't it? But it really isn't. So, but that's now ready to go back up. So if we look here, we'll need to reclip the light unit. And I think it's probably wise testing before you actually declare this all fixed. That's keyed, so it'll only go on one way. There we go. And that lives down here somewhere. So there's a shoe there that engages. It's really hard to show on camera, but the cable connector goes here. There's a clip on top there that slides underneath. There's a small bar at the bottom of the indicator cluster that it slides onto. To do this job, I've supported the bumper on a couple of toolboxes just so it doesn't drop and tear or anything of that nature. I'm doing it this way because I'm working alone and I don't want to strip the whole bumper. Now, I don't know for certainty, but I suspect they do in the factory, is mount the indicator first and do the bolts up tightly or nearly tightly, and then push the bumper onto it, because that seems to me an easier way to reassemble the unit. Now what you'll find is that as you mount that on the 2 screw mounts, you will need to give this a wee shove. That needs to clip in as well. So that's a sort of a Fordy backy scenario. And then you can start with reclipping the bumper parts. These parts are only plastic, so be careful. It's just a push and then a very gentle turn with the spanner. Try not to scratch your paint. That's it. That's all it takes. And then you just need to drive the nut through there. Here we go. I'm finding that these bungs are a little hard to get into position. You're better off doing that first and then do this nut. The bottom nut down here you will not be getting at with a socket set. You will need to use a spanner. It is fiddly, just requires patience. It's probably worth just making sure this thing actually lights up before I put the rest of the car together. Yep, looks okay. Right, so just need to get to the car back together again now. These got to line up, so you might need to give the bumper a bit of a lift. Side trim needs to go back on. So the only thing that remains now is to replace all of the screws, most of which are identical apart from this one, which is silver. You really need to be making note of that, where that came from before you start. I found where the silver screw goes. It goes underneath this trim piece. Just holds the bumper up. Hopefully you can see the green on the inside of these screw points. That's a plastic fitting, so you really don't want to be over tightening these. Because space is tight, I'm finding it easier to use a spanner over the T25, and I find that gives me enough space behind the tyre. Of course it's easier if you take the wheel off, but then you just cause other problems, so I'd do it this way. So, trim pieces. You've got these lugs here which engage here on the indicator. Meant to engage like so. And then there's a white part at the top, drives into there. So therefore, to remove again, you need to use some form of plastic pry tool and lift this corner and then move the whole thing upwards. Which you might have to do that again because that's not quite in on the... no, we're all right. Yep, that's supposed to engage on the clips on the light cluster as well. Just there. So again, be mindful of that. So plastic clips drive into these, and be mindful of the indicator parts as well. So there's that tab there. Seems to be the most critical one. There. There's another tab there as well, so that's gone in a lot better. And that's all there is to it.